Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtadar Khan, your host, and today I'm going to talk to you about what else? The Iran-US-Israel war. It's not very clear what the current situation is. Are we in a state of ceasefire? Donald Trump says the ceasefire is over. Are we at war? But it doesn't look like war. There is tit for tat going on, but it doesn't look like war. When Donald Trump was asked very clearly whether the ceasefire was over, he took it as if it was a philosophical question and not a verification of a fact. And so he says basically that he does not believe that there is any point talking. He goes on to abuse the Iranians who he was praising. So at the NATO summit, he's abusing the Iranian leadership, while at the G7 summit, he was praising them as being very rational and sensible. And so when asked this question, he goes on to abuse them and then says that while he does not believe that the Iranians are capable of maintaining a ceasefire, when even though it's the Israelis who have violated the ceasefire from day one in Lebanon and are trying to undermine the MOU, the Islamabad MOU, by trying to have a discussion or a separate arrangement with the Lebanese government, which is actually a third party. So the ceasefire would be between Hezbollah and Israel. And so Israel is trying to get around it and make a deal with the Lebanese so it can continue to attack Hezbollah, which is one of the conditions of the MOU is not to do so. So it is the U.S. which actually has shown an inability to control its proxy, Israel, or Israel has shown its unwillingness to listen to anything that the U.S. has got to do, in spite of the fact that Donald Trump says that it won't survive a moment without U.S. support. Anyway, so Donald Trump posted this, the latest of his Truth Social posts. The Islamic Republic of Iran has asked us to continue talks. I'm not very sure that Iran would like to ask them to continue with talks. Iran is basically interested in just procrastinating as long as it can. We have agreed to do so, but the United States has stated to them in no uncertain terms that the ceasefire is over. So if the ceasefire is over, so you're still having talks for what? Is it to go ahead and to the next step forward on the MOU, or you're negotiating a new memorandum of understanding? If the old memorandum of understanding is over, then what are these talks about? And why are the U.S. officials involved in it if the United States thinks it is over? So really, Donald Trump doesn't really think many things through. And these days, neither J.D. Vance nor Rubio are bothering to explain. For the last 3-4 days, we have seen him say all kinds of stupid things. Even when he was in Ankara attending the NATO summit, he clearly is demonstrating the fact that his cognitive capacity is diminishing rapidly. And so he referred to Iran as the Islamic Republic of Japan. Japan? How does Japan? I can understand if he said Islamic Republic of Iraq instead of Iran, but Japan? And then goes on to point to Zelensky and refer to Zelensky as Putin. So yes, he is not in his best form at the moment. But nevertheless, we don't really know what's going on. There are some who believe that the U.S. has never really been serious about the Memorandum of Understanding. It was only trying to get some kind of respite from the warfare so that the prices of oil can come down and at least help the Republicans in their effort to, either defend the House or at least the Senate in the midterm elections, which are not far away. This is the month of July, and it's August, September, October. So we are about 4 months away. Now, there's something interesting that I want to say. The oil price hasn't really shot up. It went day before yesterday, I think it went up to 80, and then it has dropped down and settled at 76. That's the Brent oil. So if you're watching oil prices, unless you are in the United States, then you should look at just what is shown as crude oil prices or the Texas oil prices. And that is about $2 or $3 always less than Brent oil. But Brent oil is what everybody else, that's the benchmark for pricing for everybody else in the world. But remember this, there's something new that I learned, something called a crack spread. It's called a crack spread. You can Google it, crack spread. So this is what it says, that when refineries buy oil, so they buy oil at Brent. So right now they're buying at $76 per barrel. And then what they do is they take 3 barrels and then refine it to produce 2 barrels of oil, petrol, and 1 barrel of diesel. So it's called 3-2-1. So what happens is that you're buying 3 barrels of crude oil or Brent oil, and you're producing only 2 barrels of petrol from that and 1 barrel of diesel. And apparently then they have something where they add their profit margin. So usually it's $10 to $20. I was stunned. No wonder oil companies make so much money. So under normal circumstances, like if you were to talk about in, say, January of this year or last year we were talking, so we would say, okay, the oil companies are buying it at $60 a barrel, and then they're doing this 3-2-1. And they're taking 3 barrels and producing 2 barrels of petrol, 1 barrel of diesel, and then they're adding a margin of $20 to it. And so even though they're buying it at 60 to the retailer, that you and I who buys gas for a car, it is about it's as if we are buying it $80 per gallon. But apparently now, because of the shortage of supply, not in the market but in the refineries, it seems that because refineries don't have oil because of the blockage, the spread is above $60. $64. The spread has gone over $64. That is amazing. So the oil companies which are able to sell oil are making a lot of money. So the sale volume may have gone down, but the profit margin has tripled. So that is something that Donald Trump doesn't talk about, doesn't pay attention to, because I tried to look into the pricing, and I was looking since yesterday that the Brent is just staying at 76, and the Texas, whatever it's called, Texas crude is at 72, 73. Then why is the pump price going up? It is at 385 now. It had gone down. So, and then I figured it out. I didn't know about this crack spread, as it called. Now I understand that oil companies are also essentially charging more profit from these gases. So we are back to where we were. We don't have a ceasefire, but we don't have peace. We don't actually have a war going on, but there's tit for tat attacks going on. For those of you who are from India, I do want to share with you this bit of information that the Trump administration or the Donald Trump on his Truth Social actually posted a picture which shows that the U.S. has attacked the Chabahar port in Iran. And you can see this picture. This is actually a screenshot. So somebody from open source Intel posted this saying, oh wow, Chabahar in Iran was hit last night. And Donald Trump then reposted this on his Truth Social. And I was looking at it, and I must tell you, it is interesting why Chabahar port. I mean, they're hitting Bandar Abbas and other places also, but they did hit Chabahar port. And so I went and looked at it, and as you know, that they have basically 2 sets of, well, they have 10 wharfs, 10 places where ships can come in and dock. 5 of those are part of this, and whatever, India is supporting one of them. India has spent about $120 million in building one of them. And while some reports say that only the infrastructure, or that is the radio station, etc., whatever they have there, was actually hit. The building that is there was hit, and not actually the ports and the wharfs. And so I don't know whether India's investment was destroyed or not, but nevertheless, the Chabahar port was indeed hit during the most recent attacks by the United States. So anyway, as you must have seen in the thumbnail that I have shared, that I'm making this point that in this war so far, Iran's scorecard is 3-0. So Iran has scored 3 goals, and the United States and Israel are 0-6. So how does that happen? So let me first explain to you what's going on with Iran. So Iran has essentially, oh come on, what's happening to this? Iran has essentially 3 goals. Number 1 is to save the Islamic regime or the Islamic Republic and to maintain its Islamic identity, basically preserving the Islamic Revolution of 1979. They have succeeded, even though the United States and Israel assassinated in a surprise attack most of their leadership, including their supreme leader and several generals and very prominent people besides Ayatollah Khamenei, Ali Khamenei. They also killed Larijani, for example. So Iran's goals are, number 1, to preserve the regime, and the regime is intact right now. So the Islamic Republic is existing. They have the same infrastructure. Nothing has happened. They only have newer and younger versions of the previous leadership. So Ayatollah Khamenei was a supreme leader who was about 90 years old, and now they still have Ayatollah Khamenei as their leader, who is 65 years old. And so, in fact, there has been a slight change. You can say that IRGC's domestic influence has increased more than what it was in the past. So in some ways you can say that the new or the Islamic Republic that we have now might be a bit more hardline than the Islamic Republic that we had in January. So number 1, Iran has saved its number 1 goal. It has still managed to exist as a regime. There are no massive protests going on, nothing like that. It appears that they will continue. The second thing is they did not give up any of their nuclear achievements. So, for example, whatever the U.S. destroyed in the past, that's fine. The U.S. supposedly obliterated Iran's nuclear capacity, and then within 8 and 9 months, they had recovered so much that the U.S. had to go to war with Israel all over again. So there are 2 things about the nuclear issue. Number 1, the U.S. is demanding that Iran give up its capacity and its intent to purify or enrich uranium. Iran has not agreed to that. That's supposed to be, according to the Iranians, the end game to the MOU related. So the 60 days of negotiations as agreed upon in the Memorandum of Understanding, the last item for the Iranians is the nuclear enrichment program. And they still have 1,000 pounds of enriched uranium, which is giving Israel the nightmares, and Israelis feel that that's the thing that we need to take out, and the war should not stop until that has been achieved. And Iran still has, or it is still in Iran. The US has wanted it on day 1, and they haven't got it. The third one, this is a goal that Iran wants to hold on to the Strait of Hormuz during and after the war. In fact, it intends to charge a toll and control the traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. So far, it continues to hold the Strait of Hormuz. So Iran, 3, it hasn't lost any of it. It has preserved the regime so far. It has not given up anything on the nuclear issue. And number 3, it continues to hold on to the Strait of Hormuz. So that's why I give Iran the score 3-0. Now look at Israel and the United States. These are their goals. Number 1, they wanted, remember, I did not put it the issue of Donald Trump saying that it will be an unconditional surrender of Iran. I didn't even put it there because it was so absurd and stupid. So that was also one of Donald Trump's assertion that there will be an unconditional surrender by Iran, and nothing like that has happened. Anyway, but they did talk about regime change repeatedly. The Israelis constantly talked about regime change, and their proxies here in the United States, especially the Iranian Americans who seem to be more Zionist than Iranians, their goal was to destroy the regime and install a king, this clown called Raza Pahlavi, who lives here about 100 miles from where I do, near the Potomac, to install Raza Pahlavi as the king of Iran. And this joker, his promise was the first thing that he would do. Guess what? Not say hello to his fellow countrymen that he has come to govern, the first thing he would do as soon as he becomes king is recognize Israel. Of course, that is why this whole war is about, right? It's all about Israel. So that was the number one goal. The regime is still intact. There is no regime change. The U.S. has failed to precipitate that. No one is even talking about the Raza Pahlavi anymore except some Iranian Americans. Number two, they wanted to install this pro-Israeli monarch. That has hasn't happened. So 2-0. Number one, regime is intact. Number two, this king was not created, and Raza Pahlavi is still going around, talking in Europe here and there. I mean, if he thinks he's so popular, he should go to Iran and then lead the protests right in front. Anyway, the third thing that is that take away the stockpile of enriched uranium. This is the number one goal, actually, of the Israelis. The thing that bothers them is there are some people who argue that with about 1,000 pounds of enriched uranium, which is enriched at 60%, I thought you needed more than 95% pure uranium in order to be able to make a nuclear bomb. But apparently some people feel that with 60% you can create some kind of a dirty bomb. In fact, Iran can make 10 to 12 dirty bombs out of the 425 kilos or 1,000 pounds of enriched uranium, partially enriched uranium that they possess. Well, that is still in Iran. Trump keeps saying that it cannot be accessed, it is under the ground, and we are monitoring them with satellites, and if Iran starts digging, we will start bombing. Who knows where it is, really, okay? So, anyway, that the U.S. has not yet achieved. That is, in my opinion, the fourth goal that the U.S. and Israelis have failed, 0-4. Number 5, free the Strait of Hormuz, which they have not. It is still under Iranian control, 0-5. And then end Iran's support for proxies and end its ballistic missile capabilities. Actually, I should have made it 0-8, separated these two goals and also added the goal about unconditional surrender. So it would be actually 0-8. I find it so terrible. It's a catastrophic failure, the war in Iran. I have always said it. If the American presidents talk to me once a month on the phone, they will save billions of dollars. 15 years ago, 10 years ago, I used to say they will save $1 billion a month. Now I say they will save $1 billion a day. The United States is paying something like $24 billion in interest every month on how much money they have borrowed. And to fight this war, they've spent close to $100 billion already. They are asking Congress for $80 billion more. I mean, this is unbelievable. And just in January, the United States didn't have $30 billion to extend the subsidy for health care for millions of Americans for the Affordable Care Act. And so for a lot of Americans, the cost of health care went from a few hundred to thousands per month. Many of them are unable to afford health care, but we are afford to build and drop bombs in other countries, even when our own intelligence says there is no imminent threat to the United States. That is what the U.S. intelligence said just a few weeks before we started this war. So right now, this is the scenario. We are in a war which doesn't look like a war. Donald Trump said he was never going to go into a never-ending war. He is in a never-ending war. He said it'll take a few weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. We are already in 4 months. And he doesn't even talk about termination. He doesn't know when this is going to end. If the MOU had stayed intact, that itself was going to take 60 days with an understanding that it could be extended further and beyond 60 days. The Iranians are going to drag this out for years, no doubt about it. And if they think that, and if it appears that the cost of living crisis in the United States is getting worse and worse because of this war and because of the fact that the Iranians are able to still block the Strait of Hormuz, then I think the Iranians will do that till November. And if the Republicans lose in the midterm elections, then the Iranians will brag that they were able to bring about regime change in Washington, D.C. without bringing about, without America and Israel, two nuclear powers, without them succeeding in bringing about regime change in Iran. Let's see what happens. As of now, the score is 3-0 in Iran's favor and 0-6 to the detriment of the U.S. and Israel. So anyway, I hope you all watched Conversations. Thank you for watching it. Today is an important day for the channel because those of you who are watching may know that my channel was blocked in India last year, about 14 months ago. So those of you who are, if you are looking at Conversations with Muqtadar Khan, then you are watching my original channel, which has over 200,000 plus, nearly 220,000 subscribers. But once my channel was blocked in India, I waited for a couple of months, went to appeal with YouTube, and they told me that it was the Indian government which had blocked it, so they can do nothing about it. So then I gave it up. My channel is still there, the original one, and so right now I am simulcasting on both the channels. And then I created a new one called Conversations, which if you are in India, you're watching me on that channel. And today, alhamdulillah, the channel subscriptions at this moment is, let me tell you, we're 99,000 and 99,972. So I need 28 more subscribers to have a second channel with 100,000. Then I'll get a shield like this. Inshallah. So if you're watching this channel, I can still see over 150 people are here. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video, press the bell icon, and don't forget to share this with your socio-political networks. I know all of you have wonderful communities on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on WhatsApp, on X. So please share this video and let it go forward. And as always, I will continue to update you on the geopolitical events. Thank you very much for watching. And I really, really want to thank people, especially from India, who are supporting my channel and have come back and resubscribed to my channel after my original channel was blocked. And I promise you that I will never give up. Even if this second one is blocked, I will launch a third one. I will launch a fourth one. So don't worry. In fact, I think once this goes to 100 channel, I will launch a third standby channel also with an entirely different name. So anyway, thank you everybody for watching Conversation. Until next time, I'm your host, Muqtadar Khan. Take care. Bye.